Hello friends, Jim O'Rear, Jim O'Rear's Wacky World. Several of you may remember that, I don't know, about 4 to 6 weeks ago, I uploaded a video about our nightmare home buying experience with Lennar Home Builders, Lennar Mortgage, and Lennar Title. And while all of those issues have not been resolved yet, they are being worked through. We do appreciate what they are doing to kind of fix some of the issues that were mentioned in that video. We do appreciate that. However, we were just contacted by Lennar Mortgage, who didn't like a few things in the video and requested that we edit it and take some things out. Otherwise, we would be hearing from their legal department. So while the original piece was uploaded as an informational piece to tell you about our experience that we had and our opinions about the experience and all of that, we've been asked to change some of that. So while we are happy to change some of that and edit the video, you'll still be able to see the nightmare experience in this new version of the video to give you an idea. Again, like I said, we were doing it as an informational piece under our basically our freedom of speech that we have in America, but we are happy to make those few changes. We feel that if Lennar Mortgage and their representatives had basically taken responsibility and reached out to us and say, we messed up, I'm sorry, that really would have gone a long way before any of this had to be said or anything like that. That apology would have maybe changed our opinions a lot about our experience with Lennar. But we do hope that by saying all of that, the things that are mentioned in the video, that Lennar, its companies, its employees, its everything about it throughout the entire company may have employed some best practices, put those in place so that maybe this same kind of thing does not happen again in the future, which was our whole point in the first place. So here is that video again of the nightmare experience with Lennar, with a few changes made. Hello friends, it's Jim O'Rear. Welcome back to Jim O'Rear's Wacky World. Now many of you have asked, why have you not been putting up as many videos lately as you normally do? And it is because I have been dealing with a move and a Lennar Home Builders nightmare. So, new home buyers, this is for you, especially if you're dealing with Lennar Home Builders. Now, Lennar, if you're not familiar with them, in 2017 became the largest home builder around anywhere, and then by 2019 was in the Fortune 500, making billions and billions of dollars. So, you would think with that kind of record, that kind of experience, they would know what they're doing, correct? Not so much. They also like to sign their emails with how much they take pride in giving legendary customer service. Do they? Not so much. So, stick with me for a few minutes. I am going to share our Lennar home buying experience with you and how this became a nightmare with Lennar Home Builders and Lennar Mortgage and all that, and maybe give any new home buyers some tips to watch out for. Now, like I said, we figured, Lennar's been around a long, long time. They know what they're doing. Now, there were some clues right up front that maybe they didn't. Now, the reason we were moving is because my mom, who is elderly and ill, now needs someone to help take care of her, so she recently moved in with us, and we found this home with Lennar, which is called a next-gen home that they give the nickname of a mother-in-law home, because it's basically two homes in one. It's the main house, and then you have a separate section of the house which is set up like a one-bedroom apartment with its own laundry and its own kitchen and stuff like that. And we found one on a corner lot that they were building, and they told us, well, this is a great lot. We mentioned we have dogs and we want room for the dogs to be in the yard and things like that. They said this is a great lot because we measured it wrong, so it's bigger than the other ones. So, okay, you're builders of a community for years and years and years, and you've measured now this wrong. Okay, well, whatever. That's fine. We'll take the larger corner lot. As I noticed, though, we supposedly would be living on a street called Cigarro, and all the paperwork, everything says Cigarro, Cigarro, Cigarro. And I look at the street sign and it says Cigard. So would we be living on Cigard or Cigarro? So when we asked, they said, oh, yeah, the street signs were made wrong. We put those in wrong. We're gonna fix that. Okay, another clue. Now we have an improperly measured lot and an incorrect street sign. So we look at the lot and there's a fire hydrant right in the middle of the yard. And they said, oh, they put the fire hydrant in the wrong spot. We're gonna move that too. As well as the sidewalk. The sidewalk's, we're gonna move that as well because your lot measurements are blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, whatever, a lot of red flags right up front, but they were gonna fix it. So let's keep those few things in mind about the property for a moment. I'm gonna come back to those and show how some of that stuff has come back to haunt us. Now, we thought, okay, well, for financing, let's go with Lennar Mortgage and Lennar Title, part of the same company. We figure it's gonna be very, very smooth because it's Lennar Home Builders, Lennar Mortgage, Lennar Title, all working together to make a smooth transaction. Not so much. So, we go with Lennar Mortgage, and we are assigned a loan processor named who is the most incompetent loan processor we have ever encountered. She's rude. She does not listen to you when you talk to her. She talks over you all the time, so you have to constantly repeat things, constantly resend things that you've already sent because she's not paying attention. And she has very, very poor communication skills. It does not fall into that legendary customer service that Lennar wants to pride themselves on. So if you get assigned, immediately ask for a different loan processor. Because, well, a couple examples. Here's an email that I sent, and get ready to send a lot of emails like this that you ask some questions and you have to send back and send back and send back. And for instance, in this most recent email that I sent, I said, we are still waiting on answers to these two simple questions that we sent you 3 days ago. Surely you can answer that. Not so much. Like I said, that incompetence. There's another thing, just as another example. So the homeowners association fees in this community, we were told by the sales agent, are $10 a month. Not a big deal. We get our paperwork back from the loan processor, and it says that it's, the first document says $988 per month. The next document says something like, I don't know, $150 a quarter, which means that it's $50 a month. We get a third set of paperwork from the loan processor that says a completely different number. And we're like, okay, wait a minute. I contact the sales agent, he contacts somebody else. They all confirm it's $10 a month. She sends us new paperwork after she confirms that, after I tell her that, and she goes, oh, okay, she sends us new paperwork. It's still wrong. It still says something like $150 a quarter. And I said, why? And she says, well, maybe it's prorated. Well, no, even if you prorate it does not, do the simple math, it does not break down to $10 a month. In which she says, well, these are just documents for you to look at and sign to say that you've seen them. They aren't the final ones. And I just put down numbers that are given to me from a corporate office. That's all I do. So what you're telling me is you're really not a loan processor, you are a glorified data entry clerk, is what you are. Just plugging in numbers. And you don't know how to break down a quarterly line into a monthly line with the right figures. So that's a big red flag also as to things are going to go horribly wrong. We would go over occasionally to see how the build was going and how far along it was and things like that. And because of the supply chain problems, there are delays. And we expected that. No big deal. But they said, no, the house is going to be ready in February. February. I'm looking at the house each week and I know it's not going to be ready by February. So I set the closing on our current home to sell for mid-March. I said, you know what, the earliest it's going to be ready is mid-March. So we're waiting. We get contacted by who says, you've got to sell your home now. You've got to sell it now because we are closing on the end of February. Do it now. And I said, I was just at the house. There's flooring and sheetrock up. That's it. It's not going to be ready in 2 weeks. And then she suddenly becomes a building expert and says, no, if they've got that done, they'll be done in 2 days. The house will be done in 2 days. Sell your house now, or else we can't give you the final paperwork. Okay, so again, going on the reputation of this company of being around a long time and doing this all the time, and hopefully know what's going on, we sell the house. So the paperwork on our current home that we sold is to be processed on the same day we're going to go to a walkthrough of the property, the very first walkthrough, to see what needs to be fixed and all that. And 1 hour before that walkthrough, they call and say, no, it's off, this isn't happening, the house isn't ready. I told you the house wasn't going to be ready. Now we'll have nowhere to live. So not only that, when they set up these walkthroughs and closing dates and things like that, Lennar dictates to you when you're going to go. They don't check with you and say, hey, what's your availability? What would be the best days for you to do your walkthrough, your closing, that kind of thing? No, we're the customer, right? We should be consulted. We're giving you $300,000. No, they send you a thing that says, hey, your walkthrough, your initial walkthrough is this date. Your final walkthrough is this date. Your closing is this date. And it's always during the week, in the middle of the day. Well, not everyone can get those hours off 3 days in a row. So we were in that situation and we called them and said, this doesn't work for us. Can we move it by 1 day? 1 day, let's just move it 1 day so that we have the time. And we're told, no, this is non-negotiable. It's happening on this day. And unless you're there, we are gonna move ahead assuming that everything is fine with the house. Okay, legendary customer service. Thank you very much, dictating to the customer what they are going to do. And then they send you a confirmation email of those dates and things that asks you to be flexible with them in case they need to change it or move the dates or something like that. So be flexible for them, but they will not be flexible for you. Legendary customer service. So the first orientation walkthrough comes, and well, I'll show you some of the issues that we ran into.
All right, so as you can see, I was talking about it's a large corner lot, but it was measured incorrectly. So it's got a large front yard, supposed to have a large backyard and large side yard, but no. So you can see right there that fire hydrant that is kind of sitting in the yard, that was supposed to be moved. Also, they said the sidewalk was in the wrong place. It was supposed to be moved. Notice it's not moved. And yeah, the county came out and said, no, it's in the right place. It's not moving. The house behind it, as you notice, they're building the formation there. They started building that house in the yard of this house. So that wasn't going to work either. That cut back on some of the yard. So what we were told was going to be a 20-foot backyard ends up with this little patch of grass right here. That's it. So we thought, well, maybe we'll be able to fence in some of the side yard, and at least the puppies will have some room there. But because of the fire hydrant, that means that the fence is going to have to go to the back side of the fire hydrant, which loses quite a bit of yard. And then if you look right here, there's a water meter that we can't build the fence over, which means the fence is going to have to go over here. Now we're losing out more of the side yard. So when we turn around, you notice that, okay, yeah, we would have just a small little strip right there as well. So not at all what we were promised. Yeah.
So as you can see, things were not built the way that we were told they were going to be built. Now we have no yard for the puppies and things like that. So we contact the sales agent back, who, by the way, the sales agent, they made their share of mistakes, but the difference between the sales agent and everybody else we deal with at Lennar is that they own that. They admitted, I made some mistakes, how can I fix this? It was not too long, actually, that he came back and said, I've got 3 solutions. He gave us the solutions. And he said, but the problem is, you're gonna need to move the sale of your current home because now it's gonna be delayed. Well, as I said earlier, we already sold that home. And 1 hour before the initial walkthrough, we're told that this isn't gonna happen. So he says, can you stop it? Can you stop it? I don't know, we signed everything. So we called the agent on our current home and they said, let me see if I can stop it. And luckily they did. So they said if it would have been 5 minutes later, we would have been homeless. And now we've got to rearrange movers, we've got to reschedule utilities, we've got to, all this kind of stuff that was built around these original dates that they said were gonna happen and were non-negotiable because they were gonna happen on that date. So one of the solutions that he had was the sale of another property fell through that day. And it's the exact same house that we liked, except with different cabinet colors. And it has a much larger yard. It's got like a 30-foot yard instead of a 12-foot yard. And there's nobody that can build behind us and stuff like that. He sent us videos and we went, yeah, that'll work. They start pushing through paperwork and they just need to change the loan paperwork over and to the new address and change this to the new address and that kind of thing. It sounds like it should be a simple process, right? Not so much, apparently. Especially when is involved. So they get some new paperwork set up. Now, this is now 1 week before closing on this new home. And we get the paperwork, the closing paperwork, and it's incorrect from what we can see. The escrow does not appear to be calculated correctly because it's $300 difference than what was on the other house, and it shouldn't be. The houses are located, 7 houses apart from each other. Same county, same house size, same everything, all the taxes, all the insurance, everything should be exactly the same on the 2 houses, yet the escrow comes up to $300 difference. We're also supposed to be provided $10,000 in closing costs. Now the new paperwork shows $5,000 in closing costs. So, we have questions about this. They've now processed all the paperwork on our current home. We don't have that home anymore. We get down to 24 hours before the closing date. We've still not been set up with a time for the closing to meet with the notary and the title company. We've not got final closing paperwork. We don't even have the final approval letter yet. And we're 24 hours away. All right, so here it is. It is 7 a.m. on the day that we're supposed to close on the new house. And
we've still got, still don't have any final mortgage approval, no final closing disclosure, no final amount of money that we need to wire for the closing, no exact time scheduled for the signing and the closing, and we still don't know who is giving us our final walkthrough, which isn't going to be until 4 p.m. So I wake up and I have an email. We were scheduled to do a remote signing, and I get this email that says, hey, yeah, you know that remote signing you were supposed to do? Yeah, that's not going to happen. Now you need to come into the office today, or we could send somebody to you. So here we go.
So, with only hours to go to pull this off, and getting this email that now the remote signing is off, and we've either got to go in or they're going to send somebody to us, I contact the title company and they say, okay, we will send a notary to you at 7 p.m. to do the signing. Okay, so now the whole day's got to be rearranged again with the walkthrough and stuff like that. I finally, after asking and asking and asking, do we know what the closing amount is so that we know what to wire? Because, it's, the wire is gonna have to get there in a couple hours. There was no answer. So I finally get an email that has the closing amount in it, the closing documents and stuff like that. We go ahead and wire the funds. So, thinking now that we have the notary set up for the signing, we've got the walkthrough, the final walkthrough scheduled, and we've got the deposit paid, closing costs paid, I'm thinking, okay, we're in pretty good shape. That's when I get another email from that says, oh, we haven't approved your mortgage yet because we still need 2 more documents. It has been weeks and weeks and weeks processing this. I mean, since October. And you've already said, oh yeah, we've got everything we need. Now you need 2 more documents. Apparently, you didn't have everything that you need. Now I've got to get the new documents to them. So I get those, I send them off. I finally get to the final walkthrough of the house, and the house is a mess. I mean, it is a mess. There are appliances that don't work. There are doors that are hung crooked. There is paint splattered on the floor. There is dark paint splattered on the light paint. There is chips out of the flooring tiles. I mean, it is a mess. It's a mess. And I'm told, well, you know what? It's not stuff that would prevent the closing. It may not prevent the closing, but it will prevent us from moving in, because you can't live in a house where the appliances don't work, and I can't just move furniture in over chipped tile and in front of holes in the wall and paint that's not done, because all of that stuff is going to have to be moved again to repair it. They don't care. Move in. We'll fix it later. I've heard this again and again. We'll fix it. We'll fix it. So I get back home to get ready for the signing, and here it is 7:30 now, half an hour after the notary's supposed to be there. Not a word from anyone. Nothing. I finally get through to the title agency, and they're like, oh yeah, we're working on it. You're next on our list. So again, Lennar they don't care about the customer's schedule or inconveniencing them, because you're gonna do what they want you to do on their schedule. So we wait, and we wait, and we wait. And you know when the notary finally shows up? Just after 10 p.m. Yes, we get this email that says, I'll be there just after 10 p.m. That means we're not gonna be done until midnight. Yeah. And then, who knows, it's a rush job. Just like they rushed through the house, they rushed through the paperwork, they missed all these things along the way. So I'm sure now, even though that the closing is done, this is still gonna go on for several months, because we've still gotta have work done on the house. It's a brand new house that we're now gonna have to spend a couple of months getting fixed, a nightmare. So would I recommend Lennar Home Builders, Lennar Mortgage, Lennar Title? Absolutely not. Avoid them at all costs. Avoid them. They are a horrible company. They have horrible customer service. They're unprofessional. They don't care about your time or the customer. They just want your money, and they want you to do what they tell you to do when they tell you to do it. It is ridiculous, completely ridiculous. So buyers beware. So I hope you have enjoyed watching this video, even though it was very long. There's a whole lot more going on that I just did not have time for. But if you did like the video, click that like button to let the powers that be know that you like the video. And while you are at it, click on follow or subscribe, and you'll be notified when I upload new videos. So thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.